Welcome to this Nondualify conversation. Today we will have a conversation about why non-duality matters, what's the thing about Nondualify, and why we choose to formulate the non-dual understanding as an adventure. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here talking about these topics.
Yeah, so let's get one question right off the bat. Why do you think non-duality matters?
Well, it's a big question. It's about ultimately experiencing reality as it is. It's about how we can discover that we are not separate, and the implications are huge. What do you think are the implications of this non-dual understanding?
Yeah, well, I agree. They are huge, and I think, well, to begin with, I would like to say that the non-dual understanding has been around for thousands of years. The Buddha was perhaps one of the first ones, if not the first one, to have a clear understanding, the clear non-dual understanding. And the clear non-dual understanding is essentially, could be formulated as we are not really the apparently separate entity or self we believe ourselves to be, but we are rather the wholeness and the source of the entire universe from which everything springs forth. So, understanding this will also reveal to us our innate happiness, which is, with the non-dual understanding, seen rather as a quality inherent to awareness rather than something that needs to be achieved.
Yeah, it's not making ourselves better. Since if I look my life before the initial awakening and starting to understand non-duality, I was identifying with the mind, with the stories, with the past, thinking about things that had happened, worrying about the future, what will happen. And this living inside our thoughts and identifying with those thoughts and this egoic structure of a personal identity, that is something that starts to change when we begin to get a glimpse of non-dual understanding and start to deepen it. This separation, this veil between us and the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, and I think that, well, I think for me the practical way to look at it is, how would an understanding, a non-dual understanding in which there is something that is infinite and imperishable in me, how would that impact my ordinary everyday life? And as I started getting glimpses of that, I understood rather quickly that the implications are very profound. I mean, most of our fears and desires both come from this sort of belief that we are separate. We need to do things to be happy. We need to do things to be fulfilled. We need to try to survive, although nobody ever does. And so we are sort of trapped in this belief system that isn't really based on reality or how we experience reality. We just assume it is because we've never investigated it thoroughly. So the non-dual understanding is also about investigating your experience thoroughly, so we can find the answers within ourselves to the most meaningful questions humanity has, such as what is this consciousness that
Yes.
I am?
Yes, and like being aware of the awareness itself, that investigation is in the core of everything. And on other level, I'd say, why non-duality? It can be felt as a sense of peace, inner peace. Like if we leave all the thoughts and like the intellectual things, it's sensed as this source you can connect with, this sense of being that everything is okay, perfectly okay as it is. And it affects everything. Things are not that personal anymore when you are talking with your spouse or having difficulties. It's so much easier to bounce back even from those difficult emotions that don't seem to go away. Like if I, for example, there are some health issues with my daughter, I still can feel the pain in those moments. But then getting back to the baseline after the, for example, situation has gone, it's so much easier. It's not dwelling on things, like it's not identifying with those emotions or difficult situations after the situation is over.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree that there's this independent source of peace and freedom in life, which was not, it was there before, but it was not apparent before. It was not accessible, so to speak, or we felt we could not experience it. But yeah, there's this sense of independent peace and freedom. And yeah, for me, the non-dual understanding is walking this kind of path of enlightenment. And I don't mean enlightenment here as a sort of something to be attained in the future, but rather it's the path of enlightenment, and the non-dual understanding for me is actually about learning to listen to your own inner truth, which allows you to align yourself with the present moment as the days and weeks and months go by. So it could also be said that the non-dual understanding helps you live in alignment with life. And living in alignment with life brings the power of surrender into your everyday experiences, and it is as such, I think, the most transformative understanding human beings currently at this planet can get at.
Yeah, really well said.
So should we talk a little next about our business, Nondualify, how we
Yes.
and I think it's been a very quick start for us. We met, I think it was in June or something, and we agreed that maybe we'd do one podcast or something, but nothing life altering.
And now we are here.
yeah. Basically, it seems to be a pattern sometimes that you say that, well, let's not do anything life altering or big or demanding, and then okay, well, let's actually scrap that and let's do something life altering. But yeah, we decided to start this company called Nondualify, which is our way of formulating the non-dual understanding and sharing our insights with everyone.
Yeah, since we've known each other for I'd say 7-8 years or something, and we've been talking about these themes. We've all both been on these paths, like individual paths, doing our own approaches to these things, and just talking a lot about these topics. And now the time was kind of ready for both of us, and something clicked, as you mentioned. First with the initial approach that nothing major life changing, but here we are, a new company and going full force on this one. So why non-dualify? Well, short answer, we wanted to share this understanding and spend a big huge chunk of our lives doing this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the short answer for me is, if I'm being totally honest, this fall, this has just, this non-dualify stuff has just pulled me with a force that I don't remember anything work related ever pulling me like this. I feel absolutely thrilled to be working at this, and I'm yeah, it's for me it's happened very fast. Like in a matter of few weeks, I've come to this new alignment and seen, okay, this is what I really want to do, and this is what I really love, and I'm so excited about it. I guess I'm so enthusiastic about it. I haven't even fully realized how enthusiastic I am about it. So
Yeah. Then I can remember from the initial awakening I had in 2019. I was thinking back then, I was in another business, that this is something I want to explore more and I want to share. I wasn't ready for that at that time, but it had been bubbling under like for years, and now I'm also so enthusiastic to start putting all those insights, methods, and frameworks, and thoughts and ideas together to kind of help people who are searching for these similar topics or similar things that we were searching, and which we were spending our nights reading about and doing all those things in a structured way, like in a way, like a no bullshit approach of trying to be as transparent about what has worked for us or other people who we studied or seen, and having this honest approach and like investigative approach to help to have the initial awakening and then deepen and gain clarity and finding kind of your own path.
yeah, well said. I also think it's worthy of mentioning that we have come through quite different paths and approaches, at least on the surface level. I'm a classic wing it guy, and you are more this meticulous researcher, and
exactly.
you have processes and systems, and I'm kind of like just wing it.
Yeah.
So we believe the combination of this, our company will greatly benefit from that. That we have this kind of two different approaches. And we on that level we have like qualities that distinguish us from each other.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah,
but I think I can talk on behalf of our both that there's not one approach that works for everyone, And we see that we've, well, at least I've researched so many different kind of approaches and tested those out, and you've had your own approach to all of this. We can help people to see the larger, or like, what is non-duality, give their understanding of that, and then provide different kind of ways to, and different kind of paths to find a fit, what kind of practice resonates or what kind of approach resonates, and have this space to explore and investigate your own perception of reality and how all of this starts to unfold or deepen, like depending on where you are at your own journey at this moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll offer a sort of unique blend of this kind of researching, having methods. You have a large sort of data bank of on general spirituality and these kinds of non-dual methods. I have perhaps the more sort of, I've followed few teachers, but I've studied them very well, and I have this sort of spontaneous understanding.
Yes, I can.
Of reality.
Yeah, indeed. I'd say your strength compared, for example, for me is to put those things in words that I, for example, feel experimentally. And you have this innate talent to carry that message in a really resonant way, at least I feel that.
Yeah, thanks. That's very nice to hear. And if I had to say something of your strengths, well, first of all, to put it in an obvious way, there is no way this company would exist without someone like you. As it turns out, things don't just fly on vision alone. This kind of, but yeah, I think you have the sort of patience and this sort of sense of researching many aspects of the subject at hand, and I'm more of just what comes to mind spontaneously, and I think these are very good core strengths to have in this company. And I think also what we are doing here is we are creating something that is not just ourselves as a brand, because there, of course, there are very good spiritual teachers and teachers of non-duality who have the full understanding, and they have lots of material online, and I mean, we aren't even trying to compete with that. But instead we felt we're going to make this kind of brand. We are going to create an adventure. We are going to have some fun, and it's not so much as that we'll try to compete and with the great teachers of our time, but rather to express something unique that puts a smile on your face, and we just enjoy the adventure together.
Yes, I could be the first one in line to say how serious things felt like in the midst of all of this awakening and deepening process, and I really could have used some lightheartedness in it. And now in hindsight, I can see so clearly that having a community and maybe a bit like a lighthearted approach has a lot of benefits in this, since we tend to get really serious once we start to get the glimpses in all of this. I can remember like spending so much time just going to my cave and reading, and nothing else matters. So that's a part of the process. I'm not denying it, but there's a benefit in making it also fun.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And if there's one thing that always stands out to me when I meet other people on the journey, it's that there's this grip, sort of. There's this sort of tension that I must get this next piece of understanding to be free. This sort of trap. It's so subtle in many ways, because we do work with the understanding, but it's always the loving, humorous, loving what is, loving life as it unfolds with the understanding you have. That's always the key to really enjoy the present moment. So I think we'll smoothly transition here to sort of talk about our adventure and why we chose to formulate this understanding as this cosmic journey on the cosmic islands, and we even call it this the way of adventure. So
Maybe like our initial thought, maybe we could share it, was just have like I'd say my engineering background, like let's have awakening methods, then let's have deepening methods, and like have this process of doing practices, and pretty much like giving what is non-duality, then giving practices to follow. That was the initial thing. But then we were like, how is this adding value compared to, for example, other teachers? And is there something that people would benefit, like, enjoy, that if we did it a bit differently? And then what happened?
Yeah, I think, well, at first we started talking about we started using the word adventure.
Yeah.
And I remember I felt like love, this sort of wholeness and unity. That's the signature signal from the universe to me that this is now going right. So and we both felt that way. And then I think one morning I just felt this sort of, I saw a ship in my mind, the cosmic dancer, and the captain's happy bear and the celebrating owl. And I was like, maybe I need to, do something about this. And I used the modern AI tools to sort of sketch out the adventure and the ship and the islands we would visit. And you also loved it immediately.
Yes.
And so I guess it was one day perhaps that it was born, this sort of, we could both vision the cosmic dancer, our ship, going through these mystical islands and on an adventure, and we both just loved it. And we felt that, okay, this has the unique signature that this comes from like real love. And it felt like, oh, I can't wait to be the co-captain of that ship. And it's just, yeah, so the way of adventure was born, and the cosmic islands and all this. So I think if someone were to ask the fundamental question, why formulate this as an adventure? And we just feel so much love, and this kind of, in a good way, we feel compelled. And it does strike many sort of, tick many boxes for me. Like it has a bit of this fantasy science fiction that I've always loved. I think it's sort of, without even expressing it formally, I think it also takes a crack at the seriousness of the investigation.
Yes, indeed. And it's also a really direct metaphor for all of this. It's an adventure to yourself. And I'd say that it also gives us a lot of flexibility in looking at different approaches and different point of views regarding non-duality, and how we humans have approached this in these hundreds and thousands of years. So we can look at the different kind of teachings and how they apply to today's world, how we live nowadays. We can kind of have a quite holistic approach. We don't need to choose just one type of practice or just one type of teacher's point of view, but we can see like what's the common denominator in these teachings and how we can help clarify the non-dual understanding for the people in our community, so they find new ways to resonate with the understanding.
Yeah, definitely. And the community is a really big part of this adventure. And I would say our adventure will help sincere truth seekers to, it sort of intensifies the flame when you spend time with other truth seekers and go about this together. So I would say it intensifies the process of enlightenment or the awakening journey. I think it has definitely a huge potential to alleviate much suffering and anxiety and uncertainty. I remember I had, because I went at it alone, I remember I had so many questions in the beginning that it would have tremendously helped to have someone who is qualified to answer from experience, for example, that suddenly there seems to be so many negative thought and dysfunctional thoughts and patterns, and you are like, I wonder, is this is this where it's supposed to go? Of course it is, because you are noticing
Your
these
awareness
things.
expands on those things.
Yeah.
Aspects.
Yeah. So that's just one example, but there's so much sense in having this kind of community and qualified people who are teaching from their own experience and on this journey with you. And I would also, as the third key point, add the celebration fun aspect of it, because ultimately the real understanding always shows up as a smile on your face. If it's not a smile, it's not the real non-dual understanding. And I'm not suggesting everybody here smile all the time, but I hope you can follow the suggestion to where it is coming from. So but yeah, I think it can help also integrate this understanding and being open to your strengths that you have. So perhaps you spend less time in this kind of isolated learning mode, which may be very valid for a time, but also it'll be easier to sort of flow into a more celebratory existence with the non-dual understanding. And I would say we also have a very sort of open and holistic attitude and sort of understanding, which includes all sort of beautiful things like art and music. And we are very much aligned with living this life to its fullest, experiencing a broad range of sensations and feelings, and more than anything being aligned to our own inner truth, however it may unfold itself in the world. So I think many people who just feel that the non-dual journey or the journey into the self may be too much hard work, or that it requires all sort of extraordinary mind abilities or something like that, I think many would be very happy with our adventure, because I think we will show to our fellow adventurers that things can also be fun and celebratory and produce insights, and in fact that's where the real juice is.
Yeah. And there's like, it's not only like fancy or cool sounding ideas and concepts, but this non-dual understanding, it's a lived reality. It changes how you perceive your daily life. It's not making yourself better, but in a way revealing the true nature, where this love and joy and peace naturally lives. And for example, in the beginning stages of my journey, I didn't even know how real all of this is. Like, is it just an idea in your head when we talk about awakening or non-duality? So I feel there's like a lot of potential to help people on their journeys to have a community where people are really experiencing how their lives change when the understanding and the clarity keeps on unfolding.
That's beautifully said. Well, I think this pretty much sums up this sort of introductory conversation. We'll be recording these weekly, so follow our YouTube channel to get the latest discussions and conversations. And we're also very open to suggestions. If you have topics that you would like us to talk about, just send us a message.
Yeah, and we have this Harbor community you can join for free. You can get some resources, a weekly email, some practices, and also more information about our main service as well. So if you resonate, you should definitely check it out.